Welcome back to the Troubleshooting Like podcast. I'm your host, Craig Poston, with my co-host, Jay Peters, where we talk about various topics, sharing our experiences on life and finance. What's up, man?
What's going on?
Yeah, not much. Hey, we needed that for a blooper, huh?
Yeah.
Starting to record without recording.
Yeah, pretty sure a bunch of people have that to the blooper.
Yeah.
Man, oh, dude, it would piss me off if we were recording an entire session, we were going in on it, and then I know we're not recording.
Yeah, that would be terrible. Terrible.
Or like the recording got messed up or something. Yeah, that'd be rough. But how was your week, brother?
That was all right. It was short but long. Such a weird thing, right? Like, short.
Yeah. I totally forgot. Yeah.
Yeah, short because of the holiday, but then it was like felt like a lot of work to do at work and at home. So yeah.
So yeah, you're telling me, man, dude, work was keeping me busy, dude, especially Friday. And I mean, I've never had like easy Fridays anyway, so I don't know what I expected, but dude, I was all over the place on Friday.
Yeah, Friday. Well, you know how the job goes. I ended up staying late. Yeah.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I stayed late just to make sure things were gonna go right, and then the install. Well, yeah, I mean, obviously you know this, but they don't know this. But you know what we do is IT stuff, and one of the things we had to do was do an install and update the system, and it took a little bit longer. And then one of the
2 hours per thing, right?
Yeah, and then the communication with the system wasn't there all the way, and because it took so long to update one of the servers, the domains, one of the domains. Yeah. And then so but turned out good. It went through. Everything else, it came up. Everything's fine. Just stayed late to make sure that things were okay. But I mean, all is good. And then also from home perspective, the home, we got the flooring done.
Yeah.
And it requires you to, go through and clean up stuff. Because even if they say they're going to move the furniture, you still got to get all the little pieces and stuff and fragile things out of the way, So that was basically, stayed up late doing that one night. And then they came the next day and got to work and redid the carpeted areas. Definitely I hate carpet.
Yeah. No, carpet's absolutely awful. Yeah. So same with me, man. I've been busy at this property, man. I've been trying to get people to come out to give me quotes on flooring, countertops, paint, doing some tile.
Yeah.
And that's like the main things. I've been doing like the minor electrical stuff and just some of the other hardware stuff myself. So yeah, but it's been pretty time consuming, but I finally, got my own lockbox and stuff, and then yesterday I put on the keypads. Yeah, I don't even have to be there. They can just ask me for the code, go give me the quote, and then I'll make sure that whomever gives me the best quote can get the work.
Oh yeah, that's smart, man. That is definitely smart. Yeah, that way you're not hands off, but you're not there present all the time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I wish I would have done it like earlier in the week because the sales realtor or the listing agent, they didn't pull off their lockbox until like late, and I was like, man, because I was trying to replace it with mine, and I was like, at some point I was like, I'm fed up with it. I was like, I'm just gonna take your lockbox off. I was like, I'm sorry, but come on, I got stuff to do. Gotta be done with this. So, but yeah, and then yesterday I finally took the time to put on the pin pad, so it makes it a lot easier to get stuff done.
Yeah. So, and then, for goal wise, you're right. I don't have any new big goals. Just trying to, keep working on the goals I have now. Yeah. And then the one thing I want to work on, which is I was forced to do anyway, was get organized because of the flooring. Had no choice. Had to get organized for that. So that's what I was doing during the week after the flooring was done, and now my office is one of the results, as obviously you can see, of being organized. Yeah,
it looks good, man.
Good. Appreciate that. Yeah. What about you?
No new goals. I mean, most of that, like I said, most of my time's been taken up by that property. Like I'll go there. Sometimes I wasn't even working out in the morning, or like I would shorten my workouts a lot just so I could get someone or meet someone there.
Yeah.
But now that I have like the pin pad and stuff, I'm good with that. And then we're getting ready for the Hawaii trip here soon. So
Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That's awesome. Because that it's through the reserves, but it's
yeah.
like, yeah. So, but at the end of the day, your day is yours. So it's like a
Yeah.
trip. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's like a trip. Don't feel like a trip, but it is. Like
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I know I had someone from the unit call me and asked if I wanted to go to Qatar, and I was just like, nah, don't want to go to Qatar.
no, yeah, go there.
Yeah. And that was because it was 6 months. Yeah. Then they asked if I want to come on as on ADOS, so basically come active.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, right now that doesn't really fit into my career goals. Because what they have you do is not what you're gonna, what you need to do to keep going, right? Yeah. So
No.
some of the stuff is just basically what the unit needs. Yeah. So
Oh yeah. It's definitely by their needs
yeah.
because they gonna need you. They gonna need you to do something.
Yeah. So and then I was active, so I remember how it goes. It's you have time to do things, but your time really belongs to them when it comes to like things need to get done. Mission needs to be done. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. So, all right, man. So let's get into it, man. This one here is money isn't hard to make.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another one of your topics, actually a good topic. We were talking about it a lot before we recorded, and that's probably why I thought we were recording, man. I was like, well, we should on that talking.
All this talking and this time's recording.
Yeah. But yeah. So what's your perspective on that?
Right. So like I feel like a lot of people they feel that money in itself is hard to make, right? And I don't know. I mean, it could be for whatever reason, right? That like say just because they don't have money at the moment, they maybe have a bunch of bills piling up, so they feel like making money or accumulating wealth and money it is difficult task, right? So, but in my opinion, it's really not, right? And granted, I have a different perspective than maybe most people, right? Especially, the way I came up in my age, but in my opinion, money has nothing to do with your intelligence, your appearance, or your background, right? And a good example of it is like you and I, right? You and I are not of the same appearance.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure if anyone could see this, and I'm pretty sure if you could hear this, you can tell we do not have the same appearance. We didn't grow up the same, and we're not of even the same generation, right? But we came up, we're in a similar field, right? We're in the same field, and I don't know, man. It's just that a lot of people get kind of sidetracked because they came from a certain area of town or a certain background, or because they don't have like the newest things, the nicest things. They don't look like the celebrities on TV, whatever it is, that they're not going to be able to make money.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing that society kind of puts that in the head. That's that what Hollywood thing, that how you're supposed to look when you have money, which if people read like The Millionaire Next Door or The Millionaire Mind, actually a lot of other books, they'll let you know that people who have money don't look like they have money. And you're right. Like, having the same intelligence, having the same appearance, having the same background, there's no way to have exactly all those things unless you were raised in the same household. And even as siblings, you still don't have the same intelligence, right? Yeah, you definitely don't have the same appearance. So the only appearance you may have is a few features. You're not going to be exactly alike. So yeah, just a lot of those to me are more excuses when people can't, do or say, do or want or create, right? If they can't create or make money, that is more of a excuse. And yeah, granted, yes, you can say, yes, it is hard only because it's more of a mental block, right? that, and kind of like when we were earlier, we were talking about background, right? And I would say the only part to that, the second part to background, is your background comes from people you know, which you like your family, your culture, and that can get in the way sometimes because you do carry on what they do until you decide not to. So you're basically you're imprinted with those thoughts and feelings, and or you're going to have your own feelings, but those same thoughts or cultural agreeances, habits, all those things. Like you get that from your parents and your siblings and the group of friends that you're around all the time. Yeah, so then you just start to create these own blockers, right? But if you realize that you're your own person and you decide to like move away, which I encourage that, move away, or if you don't, just leave for a little while if you're not moving away, right? And then you'd notice the culture of other people, notice what they do, and then you can realize that, oh yeah, look, the things that I learned was from my background. And so that's the only part that I would disagree on, the background part, but that is a true statement. When your background is wherever it came from, your family or whoever, you can always change it. You can do whatever you want. And that's what I tell my kids too. It doesn't matter, what you learn from me. When you get old enough, you still got to develop yourself.
Yeah, you still got decisions to make.
Yeah,
like it don't matter what you learn from your family, right, or from your friends. Like it's your decision.
Yeah,
right. So you can't be like, yeah, I decided to not go to college because my parents didn't go to college, right, or because I grew up with a bunch of people that were just going to be in the working class. That's not an excuse, right? Or that's what it is. It is an excuse, right? Yeah. It's not. It's an excuse. That's exactly what
I know, right? There's no way around it. It's an excuse.
No, yeah, it's an excuse, and the thing is, you don't have to accept that. You don't have to accept where you grew up, how you grew up, and that entire background. But I do understand that the psychological part, right? That because you're inundated and you're so deep into that habit or that culture that you don't want to break out of it, or nothing outside of it, right? Yeah. So like your thing of moving away, I also implore that as well, right? And I'm not saying you have to move out like out of BFN and go absolutely nowhere. You don't have to go outside the country either. You can stay within the country, right? I'm not saying you have to go to like the bigger cities like New York or LA or something, but just go somewhere that's not in your current environment. Yeah. Right. So if you're from like a smaller town, then yeah, maybe go to a bigger town, but like in a different state, or maybe the opposite. If you're from a big city, find like a smaller city or one that kind of feels like a small city, like here in San Antonio. It's a highly populated city, but it's it has that small town feel. Right?
Yeah. It does,
So yeah, no, I think people blaming their background can be an excuse to them not taking their own responsibility of their own life, right?
Yeah.
But what about like intelligence, right? So I said intelligence, and I'm sure you've met tons of intelligent people, especially like in the IT field. That we've been around a bunch of people, but how do you think that really molds making money?
Well, when it comes to intelligence, I mean, you got different levels of it, right? Mm-hmm. And that maybe this is something we'll bring people on to talk about more psychology of this type of stuff. Mm-hmm. But I mean, if you think about it, it doesn't matter what your intelligence is, because I feel like anyone can figure something out. All right. So, if you try to like brand, hey, these type of intelligent people are more successful because of this, that's actually, discouraging in a way, right? And then it's false, right? You basically can do anything you want to, right? You can learn anything, right? And that's the thing. You can gain a new skill. So that person that has that natural intelligence, okay, that's good for them, right? But guess what? You can gain similar intelligence by gaining a new skill, by investing in yourself, going if you need to go to college, right? Or go to a trade school, or be mentored, be an apprentice, right? Like you basically can figure a way around that, what they so-called say, hey, intelligence that creates success. Because I mean, here we were just talking about it earlier, right here in San Antonio, because I feel like this is the land of homes because like it's so many neighborhoods, right? But like just picking up a skill of carpentry, right? Being a contractor, a general contractor, learning how to do different things in a home, right there. You just learn how to, beat that whole thing called intelligence that they say, because you can become successful, real successful doing that, and especially if you create your own company behind it, right? So, here, what plumbing? I mean, a lot of the a lot of blue collar work that people will overlook, you can become successful with, So, so the fact that what people call intelligence can still be in that what I always say, in the eye of the beholder, because some people say or some people think, I won't say some people think that you go to college and you go get these multiple degrees, this determines your intelligence, but not necessarily true, because if a person's not good at picking up task at work, right, then then basically they're just in a sense, an educated fool,
Yeah, that's a thing. It's an educated fool is a thing, and one of the things is that the people that we revered in history to be very intelligent, like your Albert Einsteins, your Nikola Teslas, stuff like that, right? They didn't have a lot of money, especially when they passed away. They didn't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right. And granted, you still know their name today, but I don't think their estate's getting anything from it. Right? Yeah. So obviously, while they were very intelligent people, they were not in the business to make money, right? Or to retain money or retain wealth, whatever that is. And I'm not saying they had to, but what I'm saying is that their intelligence didn't directly correspond to the amount of money that they were making, right? Granted, now you have like people like your Elon Musks, right? But even Elon Musk, he said it best that don't get school and education like twisted. Don't get it twisted, right?
Yeah.
He's like I've never had a degree from Harvard, but the people that work for me, they do.
Yeah.
Right. So like, you don't have to be the smartest person. You don't have to be the most intelligent. I'm not saying you can be like brain dead, but just have like slowly working knowledge, right? Experience to me is the school of hard knocks.
Yeah.
To me, that's the best school to ever go to, right? Just take the risks, right? Learn from those experiences and kind of roll with it, right? Yeah. And like Craig said, gaining a skill set, any skill set, right, can be worth better than just reading from a book and conceptualizing those ideas, right? Any type of skill set, even your hobbies, right? People make money on the online, through like working out.
Right?
Yeah. Arnold was probably one of the first ones to really monetize working out, right? So, but anything you can think of or anything that you are currently doing can be monetized up to a certain point. Yeah. And then another thing that I feel people should really focus on is finding gaps, right? But what does that mean, right? So like the example I gave earlier was playing basketball, right? So if I was a point guard, right, or a shooting guard, and I wanted to get a good position on an NBA team, right? Would I go to the Golden State Warriors? No, probably not. You know why? Because they got Steph Curry. Why would they need me, right? Why would they need another point guard? I would just be second string or sitting on the bench, right? Or third string, whatever it is. So what you would want to do is you would find a team that doesn't have a point guard, right? You would find a team that, either their point guard is leaving or you can tell by their season that they're lacking the point guard. So you would join that team and you would then be filling the gap, right? And what happens when you fill a gap is that you become indispensable, right? So like, you'll see, like I said, in multiple professional teams, that when they receive that one player, even though team sports, it's not just one player, but it's a gap that they needed to fill. You become basically indispensable and irreplaceable. Right? Yeah. When you start joining things and you're not providing any value, you're not filling any of the gaps, they don't need you, right? So you now become replaceable, right? So I think a lot of people need to focus on finding the gaps and opportunities in life and in careers.
Yeah. So on that, I do agree on the fill in the gaps because, yeah, like you said, if you can be one of that kind of like that diamond in the rough, right? You're basically I won't say creating a space, but if you can do something that no one else can do, that would actually put you in a better position. I knew that was something I would, I don't know where I got it from, but that was something I would actually try to do if, take a position that nobody else wants, right?
Mm.
Excuse me. Yeah, so take a position nobody else wants. That actually makes it where a little bit harder for you to just get pushed to the side because now they have to find somebody that actually cares about their position or even wants their position, right?
Yeah.
So in a sense, it's kind of the same thing, right? Like filling that gap. The other thing, what I've learned from reading, I probably should put this more in play. So if that gap is already filled, right? Now, when we're talking about position of working for somebody, yeah, it might be good to try to fill in the gap somewhere else. But if it's like more like business, sometimes like you're basically what they do is create the same thing, right? That somebody else already created, but then just change it and create it better, right? So like, what was it? It would say stuff like, just because the product's already out doesn't mean that no one will like your product. It was something I couldn't remember exactly, but it was kind of going along that lines of like just because it's already out, don't be discouraged. Just go ahead and try it anyway. But yeah, in the sense of what you're saying, fill the gap. That's to like ensure that you are the one, you are the person, right? So yeah, I do agree on that one. So another thing I wanted to talk about too, about kind of more around the developing skills, right? It's one reason why we feel money is hard to make is the psychological, right? Our work ethic, right? So that same thing of like developing skills and filling in the gaps, right? You got to have a strong work ethic. I don't know, I keep messing that word up. But yeah, if you have that, you will definitely look better than the next person, right? You'll kind of outshine them without outshining them. You're not trying to do it purposely because what you're focusing on is improving yourself and put in the best work that you can do. All right, and that's something I definitely believe in. And then another thing too, like with developing those skills, right? You got to have faith that you can do something, right? You got to be able to know that you can create more, know that, hey, there's something for me out there. And then, the other thing, because this is stuff I was looking up this morning, right? And then the other one is like lack of discipline, which I kind of all agree with it, right? If you can't follow through with something, right? You have that discipline to just go ahead and develop that skill or be that person that I am willing to take that position to fill in that gap because I'm trying to, be my next better version of myself. Right. And then I like wrap that all up and I call it like in fighting your internal demons. Right. So, cause I feel like I do this all the time. I'm always fighting with myself. You're trying to be a better person. Right. But then you don't want to be lazy. Right. And then you want, you got to develop more skills, but then it's like, I'm unfocused on like how I need to do it. And then I've kind of become to develop myself a little bit better when believing in myself. Like, and that's why I call myself the lottery because I believe in myself, right? I believe I will win, right? And that's an attitude that I would say a lot of people should have, right? But that's the attitude I have. So even when I'm losing, there's a way that I can win, and that's not to like come off cocky or anything. That's just like over time learning that you have to definitely believe in yourself, believe that you are who you say you are. Right. The positive person, not the negative person. Cause we talk bad to ourselves also. We talk down on ourselves, but we don't talk down on ourselves like in a way to like, hey, you should probably do better. No, we do it as in like, just to discourage us not to get through whatever we need to get through. Yeah. So yeah, I like I said, I have this internal fight with myself and that sometimes gets in the way of you wanting to be the better version of yourself. So yeah, I just wanted to get that one in there because that helps out with people when you have to try to say, hey, it's hard to make money. It's hard because it's a mental block. It's hard because you can't see past with your situation that you have going on now. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't want people to miss it, and because you brought up work ethic, but what does that actually look like? Like, what are some tangibles that people can identify for a good or decent work ethic?
Well, I mean, so with that, if it take me, try not to be a quitter, right? Try to put in the best work you can while you can, right? So if you have to quit, it's because you literally exhausted everything, but then you're not quitting because guess what you're gonna do? You're gonna go grab somebody else with the knowledge to help you figure it out. So technically, you never quit. You still kept running. So that's another attitude to have, not to be a quitter, right? And then the willing to work long hours and not get paid for it, right? But that's a hard one, a hard pill to swallow, right? Like I can't get paid, right? But if you're developing yourself, right, you're gonna put in the work. When you have a business, you're putting in way more hours than you get paid for. Yeah. So to have that strong work ethic, right? It's very powerful. I want to say I probably started to develop that when I lived with my grandparents. My grandma used to call me lazy, right? And the reason why she would call me lazy is because I would sleep in. Not that I didn't work. It's because I would sleep in. And because their work ethic is very strong. They had their own farm. So they got up at, the crack of dawn. My grandma used to cook like breakfast from scratch. And get the day started. And so that's why I would say I probably developed that. And then also my parents, they're workaholics. I would just call them workaholics. Be for real with that. And like my dad now, I think he has multiple jobs, at his age, he's like, nah, I'm a work. so that and obviously you can see that my background comes from people who like have a strong work ethic, right?
Yeah.
And my sister's the same way. Like we kind of, I won't say I won't brand it to like say, hey, people from Mississippi are hard workers, but I've ran into quite a few people. They're hard workers, but then I do find some they're lazy too.
No doubt.
Yeah, but yeah. So that, I mean, in my eyes, that's, to me, that's a strong work ethic, right? That non-quitting mentality, and then also willing to put in hours even after the hours. You're willing to, make the decisions to be that better version of yourself. Yeah.
No, I feel that really good. And the other thing I want to kind of cover down on is like accepting risks.
Yeah.
Right. Because there's only going to be a risk to something, but definitely take the calculation of the risk, but don't be afraid to take risks. Right. Yeah. Don't be afraid to fail something. Right. Because like I was saying earlier, you have to gain those experiences, right, and go through the school of hard knocks. And what that means is that you are going to fail. Right. Just kind of accept that.
Yeah.
Don't expect that everything you do is going to be 100%, always going to be perfect. Like you're not going to fall on your face, right? You are going to fall, right? And that's okay. It's okay to fall. It's okay to fail. But it makes it better when you get back up, right? And learning to get back up, right? So like I've never been to boxing, right? But I did learn that when people are in martial arts or when they're in a boxing type of thing, that one of their lessons is to get hit. Right. And even in football, right, you had to learn to take your hits. Right. But and all that is to teach you that you are going to get hit. Like when you get in that ring, when you're on that field, there's no doubt in their mind that you're going to get hit. So learn to take as many hits as possible. Learn to take them early and beforehand so that when you take the hits that matter, then you know how to respond to them. Right. You know how to get back up. You know how to hit back if you need to. Right. So I think when people see risks or they see failure, there's like this conflict of that. Like you said, your inner demons.
Right?
That if it's something that's like not a for sure thing, right, not 100% guarantee, then yeah, they won't do it. They won't even pursue it anymore. So I think more people should get into taking those risks. whether that's, with their money, right? So say if you want to buy stocks, right? And you're like, oh, I don't know when it's going to come down, or I'll buy the dip, just buy it, right? And the reason why I say is because are you going to cash it in right then and there? More than likely not, right? You're more than likely hold it for however long. So just get into it, right? If it goes down, then yeah, okay, it went down, boo-hoo for you. And now for the next time, all right?
Yeah.
But like I said, just kind of learn what risks to take and just kind of take them as they go.
Yeah. No, I agree with that about trying to go ahead and take risk or accept the risk, right? That's something that I think being in the military taught me how to do more of. All right, because even when you raise your hand, right, to even sign, saying the swearing your oath to go into the military, man, that was scary because like you don't know what you're signing up for, right? So like, but it was one of those things. I wanted to do better with my life, so I was like, I have to try something different. And I guess as exactly how you said, it's like you get, sometimes you just got to jump, you just gotta go. When you were talking about taking those punches, it reminded me of combatives because that's like what we do in the Army is one of the things we learn. And when you do the clinch, one of the things they tell you to do, you got to accept the punch while you do the clinch, right? And so you got to take a punch while you're running in to go grab this, grab the person, and you're supposed to get behind them and make it where it's impossible for them to hit you, or it's basically like it's just going to keep going around in a circle, while you're holding them. And that's all I ever think about is like, that was the first time I wanted to accept a punch, right? But it's one of those things that gets rid of that fear factor. I think in society, we're geared around perfection. And the thing is, no one's perfect.
Right.
And if there was a perfect solution to everything, then we'll all be winners, right? And then we wouldn't know who a winner is because everyone's a winner, all right? Yeah. You don't know who a loser is until you lose. So once you lose, you learn the lesson. So hopefully you learn a lesson. So if you don't learn a lesson, then that's the thing. You're going to keep repeating that same thing over and over again. So when you get your lessons learned from those failures, now you just became a better person, which then puts you in a position to become a winner. So yes, accepting those risks and taking risks, yeah, that is a big part of growth in life.
Yeah, no doubt. And kind of following on is in my opinion, I think more people need to be responsible and be accountable. But what does that mean, right? So like, responsible and accountable, man, those are like, in my opinion, they seem fleeting to me. And it seems like nobody wants to be responsible or accountable these days. They're like, oh man, no, someone else told me.
Yeah.
Sergeant said that I was supposed to do this.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. You're talking about like where they kind of pass it off, like they don't want to own it. They're like,
we call it the seaman shrug, man. They're like, oh, it wasn't me.
Yeah,
it wasn't me.
No, because that's one of the things too of growing up, trying to own something. That's why sometimes I just like, I see a problem and I want to solve it, but then it's like you have to own the problem once you know what I'm saying. Once you see it and you got to own, and then like solve it. Like you got to be yours. You can't just pass it off. So that's why I'm kind of always like reluctant to take on other people's problems, because then I feel like now I own it and I can't just let it fall. Right.
Well, and people should be fixing their own problems or problems that they stated that they were already going to fix.
Yeah.
Right. So you can't make yourself accountable for those things. And, it's kind of a give and take. Right. But there is a way that, you can keep the other person accountable for their own problems that they were supposed to fix. Right. So like say in IT, right, you have a problem on a computer, but guess what? You're not the only person that can fix it. Right. And even if you are, it is not your role to fix everything.
Yeah.
Right. There are people that are tiers below you that they have a certain responsibility. Right. Now, when you take on that task, you are taking away their responsibility. Right. But they still get to go on with their day. Their 8 hours are still good. Right. Yeah. They can clock in, clock out, and they would be none the wiser. Right. But now that you're taking on all their tasks or their responsibilities, it's hard to keep them accountable for something that they no longer have responsibility for.
Yeah.
Right. So, but being the person of of taking on your own responsibilities, right, and keeping yourself accountable to what you said you were going to commit to, right, I think is very powerful, right? And I think one of the reasons why is because, like, you don't deserve the money if you're not going to be the one responsible for it, right? If you didn't make the demands or the decisions to do whatever it is, then
Yeah.
you don't deserve the actual compensation that goes with it, right? And the reason why is like we were talking about contracting, right? The contractor assumes the risk, assumes the responsibility of the work being completed, no matter who he hires,
Yeah.
right? He could hire great people, he could hire terrible people, right? But he's still responsible for getting that work done, right? So if there's, paint that's messed up, if the countertops didn't come out correctly, that person is still responsible to get it done, right? Because they're like, hey, if you pay me, I can get this done for you, right? So I am now responsible for all these tasks that need to be completed. Hey everyone, quick interruption. I just wanted to say from both Craig and I, thank you for taking the time to listen to us and our random rambling about life. If you have enjoyed this and think even one other person will enjoy this, then please share out this link, whether you found us on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or any other platform. It costs no money and little time, but would have a great positive impact for our podcast and brand. All right, enough with the shameless plug. Let's get back to the podcast. Other thing I kind of wanted to touch upon is knowing your worth, right? But what does that really mean? In my opinion, it's kind of hard to define in the beginning, right? Like how can you really determine your worth, right? Is it based off the degrees you have or certifications, right? And I'm purely speaking from like an IT or from an IT professional perspective, because that's what we are, right? And that's kind of just like what I went through. So one of the things that I did was, first I just got a job doing anything, right, in cyber or IT. So that job as an analyst, got paid a certain amount, right, whatever that amount was. And then I determined, within a certain amount of time, how well can I do this job, right? And then for that specific job, I was able to knock that one out within like a few months, right? And then granted, it wasn't like a complicated job. It was a fairly simple job. And I did start getting bored of it, right? But it doesn't mean I stopped doing what I needed to, or I stopped giving it my all, right? I still put in as much of the work as possible. I still had the work ethic to complete what I needed, and not stop that just because I was getting bored of the position or bored of the job. However, I did also start looking into other positions, right? And I wanted to stay with the same company if I could. And luckily, in our shop that we had, I had another spot that I could go to, right? And the opportunity came up where someone left and they needed someone to backfill, and I was like, okay, cool, I can do that. But at first, they weren't willing to give me a raise, and I was like, that's interesting. I was cordial with it, I was respectful, but I just asked my boss, I was like, hey, I'd like to entertain the chance of a raise if I'm moving to this other position, right? Granted, I know I wanted to move, but it wasn't really up to me at that point because they needed someone to fill that position.
Yeah.
So, and luckily enough, I was able to get a raise out of that. And then, that position, because it wasn't an analyst job. It was more of like your infrastructure, like back-end type stuff. And then, but even that job, that one kind of got a little boring after a certain amount of time because there was only so much stuff I could do. And I was very limited on what I could like configure for the system. And then, I just kind of took it, further and further. So each position, right, I kind of just gauged it, right? And then knowing your worth, and I really decided that knowing my worth really wasn't tied to my degrees and it wasn't tied to my certifications. It was more tied to my work ethic and my experience, right? And what value you can bring to the table. And I'm not saying that, measure your own self-worth or self-value on what you provide to people, but, use it on as a gauge to what you should be deserving in compensation.
Yeah.
Right. So,
yeah, no. So that knowing your worth, we could probably have a whole nother podcast on know your worth, right?
no doubt.
But that is a true thing about like trying to like understand what value you're bringing to the position. All right, because especially if the position actually leads to something bigger, right? And that's something I've been learning too, right? Understanding to stop working with my blinders on, because that's what I do. That's part of my work ethic. I'll just get in and grind, right? Put the blinders on, get to work. But in reality, like having that, what do you call it? That satellite view of what's actually going on. Like, what value are you really bringing to this project? Because if they're making, what's that? Tens of millions of dollars off your position or whatever you're doing, right? Like understanding what value are you bringing to the whole picture, and that way you can understand your worth, right? It's like you said, if you can add in like what your degrees, if you because you can't base it just off degrees, can't base it just off certifications, man. Especially in our field where we actually bring along more than just the certifications, and we bring along more than the experience and the degree. Right. So like we have to look at what true value are we bringing to them, to our company. Right. And then that's another way to analyze. All right. And now it's hard to do that, say for a new position. Right. Because you don't know, you don't know what this position is actually going to do, or what are you doing directly to bring the company money. Right. But say a person, after you get into the position and you learn, hey, this is what this does. And then, and as you did, right, you asked for a raise. That's when it's time to ask for that raise, because you're like, no, I'm worth more. You're getting way more out of me. Now, you don't want to base it off of money completely, right? We don't want to just, gear this towards money, even though we're talking about making money, right?
Yeah.
But you're in the process, you're gaining experience, right? You're gaining experience to do other positions. If you can fit in other ways to bring value to you, that's a great thing too. Yeah, but knowing your value or knowing your worth, right, is a good way so you don't get used and abused. Because what I've learned, and this happens in the military also, if you look like a hard worker and people notice that you're dependable and a hard worker, you're going to get used by accident, right? Because they're going to call on you. You're going to be the go-to guy, or the go-to girl, right? And they basically just gonna keep saying, hey, can you help with me that? Hey, can you help me with this? And it's just gonna keep going and going and going. And in reality, like, you've actually brought more value to whatever, to even the people around you, right? So knowing what your true worth is a a big thing, and that's why I say it could be a whole podcast on that, just that title itself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And kind of going back into knowing your worth. The thing is, part of knowing your worth is really knowing where you fit, right? Or knowing the position that you fit in, right? So you don't have to take on all the responsibilities of everyone, right? So going back to like my analogy of basketball, right? Could a point guard also be a post? Maybe if they were big enough, but that's not their position, right? The point guard is to get the ball to the damn to either the post or get it to the shooting guard. Right, that's their position. They have a specific function, right? Knowing your worth isn't just. I'm not saying it limits you, but it helps you fully understand that what you're doing is part of something greater, and it really helps you kind of understand what you should be doing, right? Because you shouldn't be doing everything. Right, you never should be doing everything. And then there are going to be times where, like, say if it's your own business, right, you're going to have to do a lot of things in the beginning, right? You're going to have to put in a lot of the groundwork. But as it grows, as you grow, you're going to have to realize that you can only do so much. You only have so much time. Like, in 24 hours, you only have that amount of time, right? So getting other people to fill those other gaps, or to provide different amounts of value, right? Like, I could do my own accounting. I don't, right? And it's because I don't want to be responsible for that, right? I could do like all the things that a lot of the contractors could do. I could probably do. I'm not going to do that, right? Because they're also taking the responsibility and the accountability of that work getting done. So, I think, knowing your worth, like Craig said, is not just, directly correlated to the amount of money you want to make, but it's knowing your worth as a person, right? And more like psychological, emotional, social, whatever, logical, all the logicals. But it's just, having that peace of mind that yes, you're working towards something, you have value, you are of value to people, just in general.
And before we start to close this out, I kind of just want to, put in the points of, when it comes to making money, it requires courage, right? Because like that side hustle, that business you want to start, all those things require you to put yourself out there. All right. Even to, again, ask a boss for a raise, right? That it requires courage. So it's that thing of like wanting to accept the risk of, hey, it's a possible no, or hey, it's a possible fail, gives you all the more courage to try it again. Never shut yourself down from the first no, or the first fail. And other things I wanted to get in, don't put too much pressure on making money, because sometimes that can get in the way of you trying to figure out what you need to do to make money, right? Because if you take, a second just to like relax and think about it, and, not let, if you're having bills or other things that's getting in the way of, why you need the money, and you actually just take the time, just come up with something creative that actually will help you make more money. All right. I think I was maybe listening to one of Robert Kiyosaki's books where he was talking about like his goals, right? He didn't focus too hard on his goals, and he still hit his goals. Like, and it's kind of the same way. Don't focus too much on the money, but, just so you don't just, kill your thoughts of how you need to create money. Right. So, and we keep saying making money, right? But in reality, we're earning money, right? So that's a big thing too, right? Because we don't make it out of thin air. We're earning this money. But your idea, the thoughts you have, the sweat, the chances you take, all that's earned, right? So you're earning this money, and just putting that perspective, right? Because there's no way to make money out of thin air without calling it counterfeit money, right? So yeah, and it's just those are a few things I wanted to put in there before we start to close out. And the one thing too about making money, right, or earning money, you got to realize that it's going to be more effort into the idea and to putting it in play, right? So there's going to be work involved. None of this is going to be like overnight, right? Like those skills you build aren't overnight, all right? Because you can't become perfect at those skills overnight. That'd be nice if we could download just like we do in the Matrix, right? You could download a new skill and you can work, but that would be perfect. But in reality, no, it requires work. It requires work to come up with the idea. It requires work to put that action into play. So yeah, I just wanted to, just hit on a few of those things, just, on making money.
Yeah, no, and that was great. And kind of going back to what we were saying about the Robert Kiyosaki book, I think one of the things is enjoy the process.
Yeah.
Right. Really enjoy the process. Stop always focusing on the end goal. Yes, have the end in mind, but realize that there is a process to get there, right? Like I can't just get from point A to point B without traveling somehow, walking, running, bike, car, whatever it is, right? But that process, it has to happen, so enjoy it.
Yeah.
Right. Learn to really enjoy the process and learn from the process. If you realize that you want to get to point A faster or point B faster, I should say, then find a faster means to get there. If you notice that walking or running is slow, then get a bike. If you realize even that's slower, then get a car, right? There are better ways to do the process, but start from somewhere.
I'm talking about leaving them on some good knowledge, huh?
And I'm enjoying this.
All right, so now we're going to get down to our frugal and cheap. Oh, you didn't say it, man. Frugal and cheap.
It was lasted too long. That's still time.
Yeah. All right, so this one here is asking for discounts even when the place doesn't have one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never done that. I mean,
dude, I don't do it either, but people do.
I mean, I have been forced to ask for a military discount. My wife was like, no, just see, like, like, and sometimes, yeah, they do. And you know, not to say it's frugal or cheap, but it can be along the frugal side, right? Depends on if you have a goal and you're trying to stick to this budget. But it can be cheap if you're terrible with money and all you try to do is get a discount.
Always try to get a discount.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like you, I never ask for a discount, man.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't ask for a discount. It's it just doesn't come up to my mind. Like, I'm just like, oh, okay, that's the price, cool.
Yeah,
I'll just pay that. And then like now, if they ask, you know, oh, military or first responder, I was like, oh yeah, I totally forgot that you guys have that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I've never. But you know, working in different industry like retail and stuff, it's so many people want a discount, man, for whatever reason, right? But it's so funny, like they they'll ask for a discount for something that you're giving to them, but when they try to give something to you, they ain't trying to give you a discount. They want full price for that.
Yeah. So yeah, and you know, the only reason, same way, right? I'll just forget that I can get a discount at certain places, right? And it's not that I'm too good for it. Definitely, I love saving money. Hey, like, yeah, it doesn't cross my mind to always do that. And I've been places where they don't do military discounts, and that's what you get used to, right? You get used to like, oh well, I'm not going to ask for it. But and then in reality, like, and I've done it too at a retail store, right? I see these shoes and I'm like, I need to see. They got it.
Discounts on these shoes.
Yeah, because hey, I get those prices down, especially you got kids, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to buy shoes because if you buy shoes for one, you got to buy shoes for the other, and that's just usually how I go. Even though the other one doesn't need shoes, like, oh, they got shoes, I want shoes, and you're like, all right,
that's when you have a favorite.
Yeah.
You just keep giving that one shoes.
Yeah, well, no, you can't have a favorite, or you can't say it out loud.
Yeah, right. Well, they can feel it. They can feel it.
Yeah, so but yeah, I think that it can be frugal in some instances, and like it can also be cheap. You know, just depends on if you're terrible with money, you're just ask for a discount, just to ask for a discount, and you probably you probably
if you're asking for a discount from a discount store, then you need to get out of there.
And hey, you know what I'm saying? No, you just get it marked down, half price. It once was $1, now it's $1.
Yeah. Frugally cheap. Both.
Both. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, guys, you gotta let us know what you think about that one. Because like I said, not everybody gets a military discount, but there are other discounts because like some stores still give you that 10% discount if you ask for it. So
some people got first responders and discounts. Some people got the senior citizens ARP discounts. Right?
Yeah. So they got all kinds of discounts. Yeah. Because like I've went to a store before and basically asked if they had a military discount. They're like, no, we don't do that, but I do have a 10% coupon for you. So I'm like, okay, cool. All right. So you just have to ask sometimes. All right. So all right. Well, this is Craig and Jay signing off the Troubleshoot Life podcast. We'll see you next week. Please like and subscribe.
See you next week.